So I'll go ahead and call the work session to order at 5:07. So we'll be official.
I think Christie has put approval on the food, so we're good there?
We're good?
Okay, good deal.
Excellent. 2 thumbs up.
Thursday's happy, everybody's happy.
Very true.
We've got several things I'd like to discuss, but the first one is the subject is this rendering right here of where we stand with TSW on designing the second floor above the library. And obviously the picture on the left, the drawing on the left is the library, the first floor. It gives you an idea of how far they've come with the county in laying things out. And Eric, you have not heard anything further from this layout with the county, I guess.
The county has generally approved that layout, but they still know it's a work in progress and it'll be refined, but it is the current working layout for their conversations.
Okay. And the second floor space, obviously there is, if you look at the second page, is a potential scenario of the uses and the needs that we could fit in that space. I think flexibility is the key word here. There has not been, when is the meeting with the principals?
This Wednesday morning at 27:30.
Okay. So we have had input from Snellville Historical Society. We will get input from the four principals in the cluster.
4 principals, up to about 25 students, and a few strangers I've invited.
Okay. And of course, there's been input from Josh at Garage Works. And Heather Hubble and her, I'm not sure how much Bill was involved with this, Bill Tennell, but I know Heather and her design team came up with this, I guess, first pass, and we wanted to present it to the council to see, what are your priorities? What do you really want to see in there? Do you think some of these numbers are correct? Are they way off? There's several, I think, really good things about the plan. I like the terrace. I like having outdoor spillover space there, and especially from where it sits, connected to the shared space and the flexible, not recreational, but usable joint space.
It's foyer space.
What's that?
Foyer, just a reception area kind of thing, but it would also be intended to be used for small business events and those kinds of things.
But it is, he has the major, or she has the major section, the biggest pieces, divided by educational space, which is high school and higher education, and you've got the co-working space, which is Josh and everybody who comes in the future. So I think it's a good starting point. We just need your input. I think we sent it out a couple weeks ago. Hope you've had a chance to look at it. This might be a little larger version of it, but as I told Heather and Bill the other day, I think it's a good start for us. Eric, the Historical Society, this is their office space.
Yes.
This is not necessarily all of their display.
Well, the only
area.
display space they would have outside of that room would be on the walls of that foyer space, or maybe on a wall on the first floor in front of the library there.
But they still need this space even though they're now in the Snell
That's what
house?
they say, yeah.
That's
Now house
temporary.
is temporary.
Yeah,
Oh,
they made that
okay.
clear right off the
Oh,
bat.
all right.
They,
Yeah, we did check with them on that, and it is.
Okay.
Do
it's
we
just
have any
temporary
idea how
space.
much square footage they need?
Well,
Or they would like?
initially,
They would like the size of that community room.
of the community room.
Office area archives, it's only 300 on here. Is that sufficient for what they need?
Well,
Or is it one of those they would
It's-
really love to have?
I
things
told
that-
Grace.
Exactly, yeah.
I
Bless
told
you.
Grace to shoot for the moon
Uh-huh.
with their ask list, and then we would see what we could work out.
And I provided that information to Heather, and then she and I just kind of had a framing conversation on it about, you know, what do they really need in there? Because that 300 square feet is meant to give them some office space, some archive space. And I asked Heather to kind of look into what would, you know, given the outward boundaries that we had, what does an archive space look like for Seattle Historical? And that was her best take on kind of condensing what she got from the library, talking with me and hearing the rest of our intents for the space.
And it's a little more space than they had here. Obviously, it's not the same amount of space that
Can
they
they
have
use
in
the
the Snell
lobby for
house.
display on the first floor?
What's that?
Can they use the lobby for display on the first floor?
Not
Exactly.
inside the library at this point, Dave. That's something the library has pushed back a little bit on. And
Not the
that's-
library, but you still have
The
a
lobby.
lobby on the,
Yeah, and
over
the-
here.
Right, and the second thing I was gonna say with that is that, well, one of the things the library is starting to talk about is that front space. They have rearranged the front end of the library there where those stacks are and those desks are as an adult section, and they want as much light coming in that side because it does go out to the green. So it may end up being a lot of windows on that wall, so there may not be a lot of upper display space on that wall because it would be windows and other things that could be there. So I say there could be something in there, but we don't know what space windows and the other stuff will take up yet.
So in here,
Right.
in this little lobby space, they're talking about windows along here?
Well, that's where the staircase would be in there and the elevator and stuff, so I don't know what would be available in there. I thought when you said lobby, you were talking the little room on the far left side. that
Over
one right
here?
there.
No, right over here. And is
This
this,
is the upstairs lobby. That space on the right labeled lobby is solely there, so you have access upstairs. So that's
Right.
the elevator and the stairs.
Right.
And then the library lobby is the space on the far
Yeah.
left side.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
in that library lobby where you may have a little bit of space. I don't know what, there may be some space in that other lobby. It just depends on what the stairs take up and what the elevator takes up and how they design it. But library has said they want as much light into their space as possible.
But that doesn't preclude, cases with
Right.
historical pieces and,
And Heather is thinking that while that space, that office is theirs, they can use the foyer reception area for things they might want to do. There's also going to be probably in one of those two spaces, an office space or larger gathering space that they can use if they need to lay a bunch of stuff out for a while. And so there's some overlap of spacing that she's thinking as well that they could take advantage of.
they could use this wall.
Yep, yeah, there's two big walls, there's several big walls
Yeah.
in that space they could put.
Which
stuff
wall
on.
are you pointing to, Dave?
This wall here.
Oh, okay.
So tell me, when you come up out of the elevator onto the second floor, then, so are there just gonna be doors, like into this educational space and a door into this?
I think the only answer I can give you at this point is this is very conceptual. So this is just the way Heather's put it now. If we want it different, we can have anything we want. This is
Okay.
just something she put together. So we would have something to talk about.
Okay,
So if we have any thoughts there, that's what I think we want out of mayor and council this evening, is all of your thoughts, so that we know if you want something in that space different. There's nothing here yet that's committed, really.
I think the terrace needs to be bigger. So you have a little bit more utility out of it for various size crowds.
and do we know if that terrace would be covered or not?
Again, that's If you want it covered, we're still in the point where we could make it covered if we want
I would think
something
covered.
I think it should be.
Yeah.
It would be
gotta covered.
more usable, because then you could always encase with
Mhm.
plastic or something to do an event out there with some heaters.
And truly, Heather just put this together with some conversation, so you guys would have something to critique rather than just look at a blank piece of paper.
But I do like the idea of a terrace.
And we could put a roundabout over the lobby.
I'll work
What
on
did
that,
you
Dave.
say? I missed that.
A roundabout between the lobby and the
Oh,
terrace.
Only if we already own the property.
I think we do.
why not?
It'll make Barbara happy.
Yeah,
I have asked just to
a bender bout, huh?
A roundabout, yeah.
just to backtrack on the Historical Society conversation just a little bit, I have asked Heather and David Dixon, the architect that's doing the library plan, to reserve a little space inside the library for the historical folks to store display space. The library is kind of, they haven't pushed back on that yet, they pushed it to after a Christmas conversation, and we haven't had that conversation after Christmas yet. So there's still a conversation to be had about the library allowing a little bit of something inside of it as well.
You know, one comment I would have is that you have the elevator and stairs over here on the right, and you got a staircase here, and you got a staircase here. If someone were doing something, bringing in lunch, you know, or catering a dinner up here, you've got to come from the elevator or the staircase and go all the way across the shared space to that little catering area, which I would assume would be like a light kitchen or something, maybe a sink and counter space, yeah. And that would be, if you had a function going on, you know, let's say you have a business meeting going on and then somebody's gonna come in and set up dinner, they're gonna be pulling things across that meeting if it's out there in that shared space.
Yeah, and that way I'll just make the comment, that little rectangular stair space to the right and the one to the back are mostly for emergency
yeah.
egress, ingress. They're not something that would probably be used a lot.
Yeah.
So you're right, they would have to bring it up the elevator and across the space to the kitchen.
Do you know what kind of equipment they're planning to put in this catering kitchen?
None of that's been even thought about yet.
Whatever we told
Because,
them.
yeah, because I mean, like, this kitchen is not a good catering kitchen. The one at the senior center is much better, where you have warming cabinets and, you know, you need a decent sized refrigerator. If you're really gonna have caterers come in and cater an event, you need a commercial refrigerator, you need warming cabinets that they can put their food in to keep it warm. We don't need another kitchen like this.
And I think the answer that I would give to that one is it's all about just how much you want to spend at that point.
Yeah, and it's imagining what kinds of things would be going on up here. You know, I would think catering, you might have a business conference, you know, using the educational space, and you'd want to be able to provide a continental breakfast or a light lunch or dinner or something like that. I don't know that we'd be doing any kind of full-blown, you know, it's not going to be like reception kind of things or, so I think we'll have to determine that
Yeah, it
too, you know,
needs
what's
to
the
be-
possibility,
Yeah.
but workable.
We could have a GWMA meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Have a what?
GWMA
Yeah.
meeting.
Oh,
When we
yeah.
host one of those, that
Oh,
would be
that
it.
would be awesome.
Because especially with the terrace, I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
it's a whole dimension.
So you have to have something where, like, you know, Fratelli's could come in if they're gonna
Right.
cater a GWMA meeting, and they have the equipment to keep food hot and cold.
Yeah,
And keep in mind, right across the way in the market building will probably be a full-blown restaurant or two of some kind.
Yeah, a lot would depend on that operator over there, and we wouldn't want to, you know, be too much competition for them, that's for sure. But, like, think of GWMA, when we're at Lawrenceville City Hall, I mean, they bring everything in and keep it
Right.
more. Y'all don't have a full-service kitchen.
No,
Not when we have the
So-
meetings there.
You know,
But you have,
I can't think of a kitchen. I mean,
Not when we have
there's a
a,
break room downstairs. There is no public, we don't have a meeting, we don't have what you've got.
But Gretchen, what you're talking about is, I mean, we could, a full-blown commercial kitchen, I'm not sure we'd want to budget for.
No,
But a
not-
warming kitchen?
for warming.
A warming kitchen where they bring it
kitchen to
in
keep things
and-
with
yeah.
the proper equipment.
Yeah.
I'm back in my school nutrition kitchen days now.
Yeah, yeah.
Big part of
But I
it.
mean, you've got to
well, just
have,
something to help
yeah,
the caterers operate more
It's got
efficiently,
to
and you
be
don't have
kept
to worry
hot and
about.
cold and safe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it'd be nice, I don't know if they could with the layout, but it'd be really nice if that little catering room could be closer to the elevator, yeah.
And that's what I'll take, I'm gonna take all the notes you want me to, and I'll share them with Heather. And
Well, you could
then
potentially-
consideration.
potentially swap the historical society and the
Historical and
catering
catering.
office and just move the walls a little bit.
Well, probably not, because one of the things that the historical people said is they wanted entrance to the, they want their own entrance to their own space, so they can have direct access, so maybe, maybe not, but
Yeah.
we can look at
You can
that.
probably work that out.
Yeah, because that foyer will be open public space, so you could move them over there maybe and still have that same feel for them.
And it, when you move the kitchen, you've got to have, there's got to be a lot more storage, obviously, for whether it's tables, chairs, pantry, it just needs to be better defined, the storage, and, because you can never have too much of that.
And I
You
think
could always
that-
cut that into here though.
Well, I think Heather is thinking that there will be a chunk of the educational space and a chunk of the business space that's
Yeah.
in the storage in those blocks. Does anybody have a thought of a number of people you would see on the terrace?
25?
25?
Yeah, I don't see this as anything that would be like overly huge, you're not trying to feed a whole
No,
bunch of
just
people. Just-
when you had a few people up there, it's really more,
Mingle.
it's gonna be spillover for some events, and it's gonna be
Or just
the event space.
step outside, take a phone call kind of thing, or maybe some high top tables if it's gonna be like a evening thing.
So the educational space, Flex Universal Public Space, 5,400 is what's on here. Is that gonna be further divided? Is that part of the topic of discussion for Wednesday? One of the things that the principals may say is that there's a kind of this new look classroom that really needs to go in with a couple of the high top tables, the computer chairs, the bigger conference tables, and that they've redesigned a few of the CTE building, or the CTE teachers' rooms with that furniture. And that's something that needs to be in that education workspace. The style.
CTE is what?
Career tech education. So the business entrepreneurship piece of it, which of course fits with the stuff. So you can have smaller group seminars working, of course, internet, laptop access, all the latest stuff that goes with that group meeting, larger conference space. Not so much, the initial thing that I fear a couple of the principals may say is that we need to divide this up into classrooms. And that's not, I don't think that's a great idea. That is not what the workplace looks like.
At this point, I think I can set some of that fear aside, because the
Good.
four principals and I and Everett and Blair
Uh-huh.
it was a Skype conversation about 2.5 weeks ago, and they were all talking about it being open and flexible.
Okay, good.
The one thing I would say rather than that is, depending upon how it gets purchased, the technology bill for both the education and the business space is something where you are not gonna wanna skimp too much, so you'll wanna have money for the technology.
Yes.
It's just who helps pay for that? Can we get somebody to help pay for the technology? And I think that's, we will want fairly high rate. Principals were talking about that, to have good technology, video, current practice access, business access.
Well, I think the colleges are gonna require it too.
Yeah, but that's gonna be, I know that'll be a dollar tag.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we could get the Cisco Technology Center.
That would be awesome.
We just borrow it from Gwinnett Tech. Just to move it down here. What about this wall here? Is that permanent, or is that gonna be a movable wall?
The dotted line one,
No, the wall between the co-working space and the educational space.
I guess I would fall back
Probably
to,
like-
it can be whatever you want it to be at this point, because it's just a line.
A hallway, shared corridor kind of thing, more than a wall.
Now, remember, if
You,
Garage Works takes over this space and does their thing in here, that's gonna be a for-profit business venture that would be renting space from us. So I think some of that depends on how much space he needs and wants.
But he could go somewhere else down the road, and then if we need to rededicate this to something else. You know, I just don't know what his model is gonna work here. I don't know what it is, I don't know what it isn't, but I think we need to be prepared for the eventuality that it doesn't fly in suburbia. And then you know, are we stuck with something that's gonna be expensive to do? I mean, one wall shouldn't be a big deal, but I'm just wondering if there's something we can do to lower the cost if we need to move it down the road.
Yeah, I try to make it where anything in here could be easily
Yeah,
maneuvered. May not be like, collapsible walls.
Right.
But something that's just not poured into the ceiling and the floor, that
Exactly,
you
yeah.
could move a couple studs and some sheet rock and you're good.
And since I mentioned it, that dotted line in the foyer, I was thinking that would be something that allows that space to be turned into a very nice conference room. And then also can be part of that foyer space as well. So she didn't really have it defined, but she was thinking that would be, that way you can have a larger kind of conference room space next to the conference room, spill over, but to give you some different size spaces in that foyer to use.
Butch, where did you say there's gonna be storage space? 'Cause I don't see.
we need to build
I don't-
storage
yeah, I was
space
gonna say, I
in.
don't see any
Yeah.
storage.
A lot of storage space needs to be built in. It's not there. And I asked Heather about the bathrooms. You know, I thought they'd be right above the library bathrooms. But I guess they couldn't quite manage that. But if we're moving everything to, the top of this page is to the north. If we're moving everything to the north to enlarge that terrace, then we'll definitely have to make sure the plumbing still works.
Where are the library bathrooms?
That's what I was looking
Right.
for, it's over here.
Just on the
M&W.
west side, on the left side of
see
that
where it says
page.
M&W in those two rooms?
It's
Just,
kinda
they
hard
don't
to
seem
Oh,
to,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
they
I
don't
see
seem
it.
to align.
I see them now.
Heather talked about that, and I think as we move toward more detailed designs, that'll become more apparent. I think right now, what she might have done is just put them in the middle, because that was an easy place, and the right place to put
Sure.
them for the moment.
There.
But yeah, she's thinks they should be in alignment.
It would be cheaper, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah. You don't want vents everywhere.
You know, 7,000 square feet is huge.
Oh, it's very big.
It's huge.
I mean, given that we're working with the footprint of the library, it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's plenty of space, but then it's a huge amount of space to program for.
Oh, yeah.
And to build out. So, that's, and,
You know, you could throw another wall up across here, another easily moved wall, if you wanted to have two specific types
Yeah.
of things go on that side.
Well, one thing's for sure about Garage Works. It's probably gonna be another year before we sit down and negotiate. So we'll kind of know where,
Yeah.
how he's doing at that time. And I want him to be ultra successful, but it's difficult.
Maybe Palmetto should rent space over there so they have a local,
It looks good.
local address. You could say Palmetto was Lawrenceville,
Satellite
Snellville,
location.
and Paris.
We want the balcony over the green. We want the balcony over the green.
It's rentable.
For a price. Everything's available.
Be careful on that one, if we charge the attorney too much, he might charge us too much.
Okay, anybody have any other notes to give to Eric to pass along?
And it's gonna be a work in progress. You know, this is not, you'll see it when the plan comes back. But we just needed to, with the meeting that's coming up this week, we just wanted to provide as much guidance for TSW as we could, so.
Is this lobby gonna be two-story, or is it gonna be
I
floor?
think it would be a clear story is what she's talking about at this point. Bill is still hoping to get some of his notable something there. We're not doing a bridge or anything, so we'll see something there that's two-story and iconic probably.
Something cool.
I don't think would be bad.
Okay. You got what you need?
Awesome.
We'll go from here and report back on the meeting later this week, and then we'll start, get TSW to do a little more work.
Yeah, one other thought came to mind, just to put it out there at this point. The principals, when we had that telephone call, also generally talked about what's called a makerspace. The library systems right now are doing a lot of those kinds of things, so I think one of the next conversations that I've talked with Heather about having with the library system is how do we collaboratively do that? Because if they're gonna put some makerspace in the library, we can put that same makerspace upstairs.
What are we talking about, a maker, like a,
3D
Like
printing.
Printer,
to make
sewing room,
videos and-
green room,
Right.
video, blogging room, CNC machine. We can't haul big stuff up and down. At one point, there was a potential, they were talking about a big freight elevator so they could haul big stuff up and down, but we have kind of put that aside. But just know that there's conversation about makerspace and what could be downstairs and the library's already doing and paying for, and what the school systems might want to be upstairs. And that's something we can talk about, because if the school wants a few things, we could talk the library just into doing those, and then we don't have to do them at all upstairs.
right.
This is very similar in layout to the one down in Centerville, the library in Centerville.
Is that,
So if you want to take a run down there to see the real thing. There are differences, but they got their makerspace tucked over in the corner as well.
Is that next to the senior center?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
On,
Yeah.
Bethany Church.
Yeah,
Church,
and it's,
yeah.
not,
Yeah. and-
okay.
Bethany Church Road.
That's right,
Do you-
Bethany Church,
Do you need us
okay.
here, Eric, for that principals meeting, or is it, no, okay.
And I would, it's open,
Wish I
it's an
could
open
be.
public meeting, if any of you want to come and listen, you're welcome to, but no, you're not.
Get out of jail free card. I don't get out of jail free that day.
Then I'll be, summing it up and getting it to Heather, and you'll know the outcome, you'll know the direct impacts of it.
Yeah, she probably would. I pushed it with the justice thing already, so I got out for justice.
Okay.
All right, the third page that you have in this handout, we just found out about the other day. Went to a meeting with Gwinnett Water, and I guess to start to kind of orient you, if you look down in the bottom left-hand corner, the bigger white rooftop there is the police department. And as you go north or northeast, that's the 8 acres that we own on the other side of Wisteria. And then if you keep going, you see Eastwood Drive. Eastwood Drive, after they've gone through the study and looked at capacity needs and topography and all the engineering, that's where they are going to put the new sewer line to serve the development on the north side of Wisteria. Everything will flow over there. Right now, it's just all residential in our trail. Everything will flow. You can see the green connector there, and then it will, from the property back to Eastwood, and then down Eastwood, I think about 1,500 feet, and then you can see it comes back to the south, and it hits the pump station there at Hickory Station, Old Hickory. So that is the new sewer line, which we have in the town center budget. And it actually, we have a little more in there than it's gonna cost. And that agreement is 75% Gwinnett Water or Gwinnett County and 25% city. The other day in our meeting, they put a map up on the board that showed the blue. These are proposed new water lines that GWR would put in and replace an aging, very poor system throughout this area. Something that obviously we did not budget or plan for, but new infrastructure, especially working with an entity that the more I go there, the more I realize they know what they're doing. They have a very good staff. The issue here is for the new water line, it would be, instead of 25%, it'd be 33 1/3 for the city. All of that blue in here is about 8,500 linear feet. And so it's about $3 million. It would be $1 million to our cost to do that, our share for the water infrastructure. Plus, obviously, the road rehabilitation. We'd have to go in and top it, and I've already asked Snell to give us an estimate of what that would cost. Unfortunately, these roads are not at the top of our need list when it comes to paving and resurfacing. They're actually all in pretty good shape, so that's not good. But we've also I also asked them when we were there to look at the new section of sewer line and look at everything else that would flow by gravity into that sewer line, because this is all on septic tanks over here. Several of them failing, and all of them aging. So they, it's kind of hard to see, but there are 3 extensions from the planned town center sewer on Eastwood, on I think that's Myra and Timber Lane, and they're working out all the engineering and the pricing on that. I don't have that yet, but I just wanted everybody to know that we're I'll bring that back to you. I just felt like we're sitting there with an entity that is interested in improving our infrastructure, and we need to see what the costs are going to be. Do the engineering, because if you can tell, we hit north up there. There's a lot of north that can come down here, gravity flow also. You know, we're talking about, we've updated our comp plan, we're talking about a UDO, we're talking about finally adopting the North Road overlay. Sewer, it's gonna take sewer to make this the success that we think we want it to be. So, they're gonna work out the costs and get back to me on that.
So tell me what the red, is that existing sewer? The red lines all through?
This is, existing in this area. I don't believe, red is usually
Well, it's not
a
existing on
force
East
main, but I can't tell you that right now.
And then the only, for the town center, is it this, it's this dark green line that we're talking about? That it would run on? Or is that?
Dark green
Greenway
at the
Trail?
bottom, where it
Uh-huh.
says future gravity sewer.
Yeah,
Where are
this
you?
dark
Right here,
green
this
here?
is where,
Oh, this.
wisteria, yes. Everything in the initial, in the 10-acre main block is already sewered. We don't have any problem with that.
Right. But then what is this, what's this green? Is that our Greenway Trail? What is this green line here?
Can't see where you're pointing to.
This one that starts here?
That would be the new sewer on Eastwood.
Okay, that's the new sewer.
That's the new sewer. It ends down here, it goes into this pumping station.
Okay. And is that new or those existing?
These are existing.
Okay.
It would take, you can see where it says future interceptor sewer. It will take that, and that's planned for down the road to get rid of these pump stations. So that's just,
So this is the new, the dark green is the new.
yeah.
Well, they said that, so that new sewer piece for the town center will go right down the middle of that Eastwood, so that road will be closed in sections while they're putting that in.
And on that, that's where we're 25% of the cost plus repaving.
Yes, we are. It's right at $1.5 million, and we're $375. I forget exactly what it is. We budgeted 400, so it's a little less, but this would be, it would be a decision. Yeah, you need to, but it's something the water is something that they have planned in 20 and 21, and they just wanted to see where, how much we'd be interested in participating.
And just so you know, in one of the community task force meetings that we had with the comp plan, there was a realtor, Jamie Parker, that was on that task force. And he said, in his experience in reselling houses, this area of housing plus the housing behind South Gwinnett, so down Skyland, Odom, back in that area there. There is some issue with reselling because people don't want to buy something on septic. So, just so that you know that for redevelopment on these, in all of those areas under the UDO, we're gonna allow the potential for carriage houses or little garage apartments or, things like that in these areas. I was mentioning that to Tyler Richards with Gwinnett Water at an event, and she said that wouldn't be allowed on a septic tank. Yeah, so, so those types of, that kind of redevelopment or, and that's not even like redeveloping the area. That's if somebody wanted to come in and improve the house and then put one of those little carriage houses, they wouldn't be allowed. And the home improvements would be probably tied to just inside whatever is existing to stay on the current septic tank,
Yeah, you can't expand the bedrooms. That's what it's all based on.
the bedrooms. So if down the road, people wanted to come into this area and bump up these houses, do something to them, it's not gonna be allowed without putting in the water system.
Yeah, and I don't think it'll be too long before this is all tear down. So it needs a sewer, because people are gonna wanna be close to the town center in updated housing.
Well, they're working on the engineering and the cost estimates, and then we'll meet again and negotiate the whole time. But just remember the deal that we struck with the county several years ago. I don't think the end of their assistance, I don't think their assistance ends with the library. I think we could talk to them about, if we have basically stopped annexing. If they want to continue to support the city, then we need some infrastructure help. So, it's all in negotiation. But I thought you'd want to know that and know what we're looking at with GWR in the county there.
But all up here, all up North Road, is all of that already, that's all on sewer already? So really
It
just,
is.
the areas in blue are just what would need sewer,
Well, the blue is the water replacement. If you look, there's green underneath there too.
right?
That green would be
Green dotted.
sewer.
No, North Road is, North Road on sewer, it's all septic up until the commercial areas across.
Yeah, that's what I thought,
Yeah.
the whole area's
Yeah,
septic.
cause it was built first.
Oh,
What a mess.
So, and that's what it's gonna help, as a catalyst over there.
well, and that's not even taking that and bringing it up
You
here.
gotta bring it back from all the commercial to get it there now.
But their water infrastructure is poor, and they're planning on replacing there. We'd be requesting and biting off as much of the sewer improvements as we could.
Yeah, I mean, and the other downside to this is, for the residents, is we can go in and have the county put all the sewer in, but each individual house has to pay to hook up. And she said, you're probably looking at $12,000 to $15,000 per house.
Yeah.
Just their sewer hookups like $4,700, but then hire a plumber, you've gotta
Right.
run your water lines to the house.
That's a pretty big
It's
expense
a
for a
big
lot of
expense.
families.
So, we were talking, Tyler was kind of like a little bit brain, we talked for like 5 minutes at I think the state of the county lunch right before. And so it was like real quick kind of brainstorming, it wasn't any kind of formal thing, but, potentially we could look to see if there's any types of grants, or if, the city or the DDA or the URA or somebody could offer some type of financing, or if you do it, she also threw out that maybe you do it that it's not a requirement for the homeowner to hook up, but if the house were to sell, then it would be built into the cost of the new house or something like that, that at
Take
that
an
point.
ordinance.
Yeah,
No new
Yeah.
septic tank permit, period, even if they fail the
yeah,
challenge. You're looking at that almost for repair, now it's not cheap anymore to go to.
septic tank.
I can attest to that.
It's expensive, it hurts.
Yes.
I pay to
It
swap over
hurt
to sewer right now,
tremendously.
even at those rates, I'm probably.
So those are all the things that we need to take into consideration. I mean, we could help pay, help the county pay to get all of this in place, and we still might not get everybody hooking up right away.
Right.
But they'd have to if they wanted
Nice to
to
have the
improve the
option, though.
channel. Yeah, yeah. So those are all things to think about, because it's not just an easy, flip the switch kind of
Right.
thing.
And
for
we
them.
might be able to find a plumber and contract with them to say, you do these for this price, and negotiate the price down. Because he knows he's gonna have one after another as they go.
Yeah.
Plumber HMO,
There you go.
yeah. Use our plumber.
Okay,
Good news on the DDA bonds, went through validation with flying colors today.
No objection, and everything was short and sweet.
Good deal.
Blake did a great job putting together complex transactions.
so that's moving along.
It's done, so the validation means you're authorized to issue. Now you start the financial side. There's certifications that are legal certifications that go now to say that we have to certify to the people who are the investors that the validation went through and there's no issues. And and we are who we say we are, and we approved it duly. That, there's a little bit of legal work to do in that part of the process, but it's primarily Bill Camp. It's numbers and ratings and, you know, the complex side of the financial transaction. So, Blake was thinking, he was talking out loud, it looked like it would probably be into May before the issue actually occurred and we had our resources to close, so.
We have until May 31,
We
correct?
do, yes, and he knows that, he's tuned up, he's gonna guess it, but there was just some, because of the size of it and the timing of it, he thought it was going to take a little bit of time to get through the rating agencies and all, so.
There's no reason why we should at least maintain our rating for sure,
Right.
so. One other thing, since I've got everybody here, one thing that came up at the planning retreat was about the green and preparing it for the next event season with some, well, we looked at all options, but really the only option is new sod. Is to go in there and tear it up and put better material, better base material, and resod it. So the best proposal, I don't think Gay's here, the best proposal that Gay and her folks came up with is about $27,000. And that's tearing everything up, putting better material, I mean, just putting much better material in, and zoysia sod this time. And it also includes, I thought this was interesting, industrial paver edging. At they said if you put the better edging there at the end of the brick, you're gonna have better results. So, that's basically what we're
Can
looking
we
at.
maybe look at getting some of those sprinklers moved?
The sprinklers moved,
Or the boxes or something, because they're right in, as you come
they'll
off.
level everything, but you know, when it's torn up, I mean, that's the time to do it, for
Yeah.
sure. So,
There's one or two like sprinkler boxes or heads right as you're coming off the brick area. And it's just
We
hard to
always
keep
have
the
to put
cars.
cones up
Yeah.
yeah,
over
just
them for the
And
bar.
I always thought the concept originally was to have everything around the edge and around the center, so you didn't
That's
have
what
that
we
worry.
thought.
Yeah,
And
and now
then
we got all these things.
they're all over the place. They're all in almost the path that our
That you need, yeah.
vendors need to
Yeah.
follow.
well, you know, irrigation people, if, of all of the subs that we had, and, you know, I think Michael Kidd did a good job designing it and ramrodding the contractor, but of all the subs we had the biggest problem with the irrigation folks.
And it's simple
But
stuff, and they don't wanna make it a major production.
It's simple, yeah. I mean, they look at a plot of ground and they say, okay, I need to run lines here and here and here.
It is simple, but you do have
but-
some things, you know, on what kind of sprinkler. that you
Coverage
can use
area
and how
and
much
whatnot.
coverage it
It's all
does,
easy,
and-
I've done a bunch of them, and they're all easy to figure out.
Well, it
know,
just
it's
seems
just-
like they make enough sprinkler heads that can cover certain
Oh,
areas
yeah,
that they can
yeah.
do it. But in any case, that's the time to do it, Dave.
Oh, yeah,
When
of
it's
course.
torn up, so we'll look at that. But everything would be brought up to
It
level,
would
so.
make Kurt's life
When,
so much easier.
when would this have to be done?
Timeline.
I mean, it would happen, and obviously, things aren't gonna green up until the end of March, so everything would have to be in the ground and done. They'd have to do it in early March and give it as much, you know, knitting and growing in time as we possibly could. I think the first event is,
beach
don't we have a
was-
food truck Friday in May? Right,
Yes.
There is
First week,
one in
yeah,
May,
first
yes.
Friday.
The first Friday of May.
and that's something that.
The first
that-
Friday, isn't that, is that Snellville Days weekend?
Yeah,
They'll do the food truck on Friday and then Snellville Days Saturday, Sunday,
Yeah,
so.
and then the beach blast is
Beach blast in a couple
like a week or
weeks.
two after
Like
that.
third
But
week of May.
You guys do a good job of bringing people in and taking them in a certain way. We've got to do that with the food trucks. The food trucks come in and just, I mean, they're a lot heavier also. They cause a lot more problems. I mean, they've got to be slowed down and turn more gradually than they have. So we've got to work on that. So it's, but, I mean, you can, it doesn't matter who you talk to. Anybody who has an event on grass, it's gonna be replaced. So,
I
that's
know.
just kind of where we are.
Somebody, maybe it was Jimmy Burnett up in Swanee, said that they have it in their budget, and they replace pieces of sod every year. There's just certain areas that get worn
Well,
out.
there's also areas of that green that are low, because we have, I know,
Towards the corner.
one space that we can't use for, isn't that right, Kurt, that we can't use for a vendor space because it,
All the spaces down on the little.
Towards the sign at the intersection?
all those spaces down there we
Yeah.
can't use because they, if, there's, yeah, it's a swamp,
Yeah.
And that's where the swale runs to the drain on
Mhm.
the 78
yeah.
side. So you've gotta have some of that.
I know, yeah.
The,
But are we thinking of doing that this,
yes.
Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's what you guys wanted to
like next week?
see,
Or at
and
least
so
look at it, yeah.
we're,
through the
Yeah.
sealed bid process for that?
what's that?
Don't you have to go through the sealed bid process for that?
Yeah.
Well,
If
she
you
came
use
up
it.
with,
If you use
she came up with,
March 16th,
3. We need to do it real quick.
is that enough time by next?
you know? But one final thing. These are, speaking of roundabouts, I showed this to Barbara the other day. This is what Precision Planning has been working on as far as connections from north to 124. And this is a possible roundabout on north that uses the existing signal on down here at Dogwood and 124. There is Dogwood, Dogwood needs to be improved, obviously, but there's a lot of room on Dogwood to make those improvements. The issue becomes, and this is the same size roundabout as what is at North and Fars, and so it could be downsized a little bit, but it's sized that way for traffic safety and traffic flow.
I don't think you could do it much smaller than.
See, I
that
don't
there.
think so either. And I've asked them to come in here and, because there's more room right here, to see if they can slide it this way so we can stay out of so much of that family's
And
yard.
they went
Butch.
through that water issue too.
Butch,
No.
if it was gonna require a taking on that house, could we go ahead and just improve the roadway, improve the intersection, and have it set up that sometime in the future,
When
the
they-
roundabout could be put in, and we just let those property owners know when they're ready to sell,
Yeah,
see us first,
yeah.
and then we buy it and finish the roundabout then?
You could do that, that's for sure.
So it would take
It's just-
longer to get the roundabout put in, but at least we wouldn't have to go through, taking on the house, unless the homeowners were like, yeah, fine, buy it.
And Jason, you mentioned a water issue.
Yeah, when they built that sidewalk, I think those people with that roundabout in their front yard had issues with drainage.
This one here?
That one and the one to the north.
After the sidewalk was put in?
Yeah, it was a big deal. And then, Mr. Blackburn's always looking to sell one on the Dogwood side. Dogwood and
This guy
north.
here?
Yeah, he was just here today.
I mean, it wouldn't be a bad thing
Yeah.
if one of those homeowners was wanting to sell,
He wants commercial prices.
Well, everybody does.
I know, though.
But they are looking at sliding that to where we are less intrusive on the houses on the east side. And this is one they looked at that basically we stopped progress on. The other signal they tried to tie into, of course, was here at Barbara's old office where Jamie Toney is now. And,
Nico.
yeah.
The
So,
two important things.
the Snell property here,
CPA office in the wine store, right?
Wine store.
and there is just no way to make that road fit between, you already have parallel parking here. There's just no way to make those road improvements fit between those two buildings. And it's just something that we thought, I said, maybe, with working with the Snells, maybe we could put a little bit of a curve in here and come this way, but it just, this is the area that
Just blocks it, yeah.
just doesn't work. And you sure don't want to have to buy one of those buildings.
Yeah, because I know when we were there, a lot of clients wouldn't use, there's only like 3 little bitty spaces up front. And a lot of people won't use them because you really can't get a car in.
Once you
Even
get in,
one
you can't
with,
get out.
yeah. If there's 2 or 3 cars in there, forget it. So a lot of people park in that back parking lot, and the only way to come up is walking up that roadway. There's not even room for a sidewalk to come up beside the building, so you couldn't make that a roadway.
So basically, we've
You can
stopped
do it
work.
diverted by turn.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
you know, I mean, there is an option that you couldn't do it at the red light, but I mean, we could maybe look at doing it. This, where some of these came up from, I don't know if y'all remember, some of you may not have been on council, but I had worked with Jason and we kind of laid out a bunch of areas where we could do some roundabouts and things. And then through another conversation I have with Butch and Jason too, one of my thoughts for helping to improve some traffic flow on 124 is to get some of the local traffic off of 124. Because especially like down in this section, you know, you can't get through here. Cars can come up through Dogwood, but if they're trying, or they can come down Wisteria, and if you come down, you know, so a lot of cars from in those housing area, they have to come out to North, go down, come back up 124. And if we could keep a few of those cars off the road and just let them, you know, cross over, and we've got a lot of interparcel access, you know, which is a good thing through all the shopping centers. You can work yourself on down without actually being on 124. And then the other thing that could do for us, if we can find a few more of these kind of connections between 124 and North, it gives us more of a grid system between those 2 roadways. And it could help with the type of lower intensity redevelopment that we'd like, you know, if you're going up north, between North and 124. You got all the heavy commercial development there, and then you've got homeowners. And if we could start with the North Road overlay going into the UDO, that would allow for some, you know, some density bump ups as far as housing types or office types, you know, that if they bought up several parcels, they could put more square footage or maybe a 2-story office building. And what that could do then, if they're buying up 6 or 7 parcels, you know, not just along North Road, but also some of those back streets, they're buying up 6 or 7, and then you get one curb cut instead of all of those different driveways down north, which would help improve traffic along
You know
there
where
as
you need a
well.
roundabout, is Wisteria and North.
Yes, oh, that would be
I don't know if
awesome.
it's, but
Where's that?
Wisteria and North, because you go there anytime close to rush hour and they're backed up north all the way.
That's gonna be, we're getting a price on a traffic study for the town center area, and I wanna push them out here as much as we can. So we'll have a better idea, because, you know, Dogwood, I don't use Dogwood because when I get to North, so often I'm stuck. And I think a
Can't
roundabout,
turn left, yeah.
would loosen that up.
Well, just to
But,
back up a traffic,
yeah,
because I've seen it from Wisteria well past Dogwood, where it's just stopped.
oh, yeah, almost Pinehurst.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Well, it's, anyway, that's kind of an update there. So, a lot of things are being worked on. We're trying to catch up with everything that you've listed in your planning retreat, and, that's about all I've got, I think, till we get to our, project update.
That was North and Dogwood, right? Okay. So before we go into the other discussion items we have, we'll go back up and do the regular business meeting review. Okay, so we've got the invocation, Reserve Police Officer MJ Sunny. What?
I always give him a hard time because he doesn't wear his vest sometimes. I'll go up on, oh, I got it on, I got it on.
And we don't have anybody for the pledge, so we'll pull somebody up to do that. We've got the oath of office for Diane Harrell for the Planning Commission. Minutes, some board reports. Kurt's gonna do the stat board report. To Kelly. The agenda, we'll talk about that. We've got the Kroger.
Youth Commission, I think is Jabria Troxler. Jahbrea Troxler.
Okay. And we have the Kroger company. Does anybody have any questions or anything for Jason on that?
We have been working with the county. There's a connection to DDR for one of our joint transportation projects. The addition of a turn lane on Ridgedale at North.
Would it be okay to put this one in executive session, since it involves us?
Okay.
Our strategic,
Okay, that's
side
good.
of acquisition of property.
So for that part of it, but does anybody have any questions from Jason regarding the project itself? No? Roger, nothing? Okay. New business, we got the mobile stage.
We have two requests for the mobile stage. One is the city of Loganville. Well, actually three. We have two other ones that I guess we put on the work session. We can discuss in the work session.
Okay, so the one that's on the agenda is for the city of Loganville. They had asked, they want to use it the weekend before 4th of July. Kelly's been in contact with them, and there's no problem there. They'd get it Thursday night, would get it back Monday, and 4th of July, I think, is Thursday or Friday, maybe Thursday. So Kelly was fine with it. And then we've got the Arts Commission resolution.
It's good to go as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if
Yeah.
anybody else has had it.
I looked at it, it looks fine to me.
I think it's a good, just a basic framework,
Yeah.
and then we'll do a master plan for the arts and go from there. I would just request one thing. We've got them as 4-year terms.
Mm-hmm.
Would you have a problem if we went with 2 or 3-year terms on those?
I don't have a problem with it.
Anybody?
They'd still be staggered?
Yeah. You'd still want them staggered,
Yeah.
but instead of 4-year terms,
So
to do,
every year and a half.
4 years could make it
18 months.
harder to find people. Maybe.
well, it's just a long time.
Yeah.
You know, for the art, and with the history that we've had with the
Or
arts
just do 2-year
commission.
terms. Makes it easier to do.
And then just do some, there'll be some every year.
Half of them every year.
I mean, and somebody could, it doesn't mean there's no term limit, so people can
Right,
stay
so
on.
they could stay on.
Right.
If they want to stay on, we just reappoint them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just like we do with the other commissions.
yeah.
Okay.
So if when the motion gets made, then you just, change it in the resolution to 2-year terms. And then we have a grant request for the sidewalk construction.
That's right. A few meetings ago, you all approved a consulting agreement with Craig Goebel who used to run the CDBG program for a contractor for the county. We've never had success in getting grant money from the CDBG, but we've got an opportunity now. We've tailored an extension of our greenway, which basically would be phase 2, with phase 1 being in the town center area. This would go from the front of the building across 78 to the southeast corner, run in front of the Baptist church, and then turn down Church Street all the way to Briscoe. And the initial cost estimate we received was right under $400,000, with $68,000 worth of engineering and oversight work. And the resolution you have in front of you tonight, is to approve the application for that project. We're calling it a connecting sidewalk because it fits the low and mod definition better. So the resolution would approve the application, and also the city's share would be the engineering, would be the $68,000, and we would apply for the full cost of the trail or
And
sidewalk.
how are we gonna cross 78? Just across?
Well, we just met this morning, and Austin and I went out and talked to Robert Moon from Pittman to make sure that pedestrian island on the other side, I mean, would just be a crosswalk. The ramps the handicap ramps that he's already planning on putting in are fine. He's looking at modifying as I said, the pedestrian island before you get to the other side. He sounded very positive today that it may even be a cost savings to him. Austin asked him if he could modify it a little bit for cyclists, so he saves a little bit on concrete. So we're trying to just work on that, and then we'd be expanding the sidewalk in front of the church where there's plenty of room. There's some utility poles, but they have plenty of room in front of their entrance. So, and then
would our cost come out of SPOSS? Could that come out of SPOSS would that be transportation or for?
we have joint trail money. We don't know what I've got money in there for phase 1, which is basically from here through the cemetery to the other side of Wisteria and then coming back into the middle of the town center. There's money in there for engineering and construction jointly. And I would say we'd probably get half of the 68 from that, but we couldn't get it all. We'd have to put $34,000 in the capital budget item next year. But I think it's a good project, and I have no doubt that we'll be successful. I think Craig has enough contacts there, and I feel pretty good about that. So just trying to finish that up, and we'll have a draft back. I think he wanted to get a draft back to us by the middle of March, submitted in April.
And then we have a potential item D. This is, does anybody have anything else for the regular agenda? Because the potential item D is gonna come up on our work session. So we'll flip back to the work session agenda with that. Any other correspondence?
No, ma'am.
I emailed everybody late today, invitation thing to a Boy Scout dinner.
Only $250 a seat.
Yeah.
What a deal.
It's a fundraiser.
I just wanted to,
Definitely.
I didn't know if everybody got that or not, so I
We
wanted to
did.
share it.
I did.
Okay.
Probably deleted.
They serve beer.
I also did get,
Get a lot cheaper at Lincoln.
just to let you know, I got a letter from, and I think this is an annual letter that comes from Chris Kicklighter. He's the office manager for the Veteran Service Field Service Office, the Georgia Department of Veterans Services. They have a Lawrenceville Community outpatient clinic there in Lawrenceville. And what their office does is they help veterans apply for and fight for the benefits that they deserve. Like anything when dealing with the federal government, you have the federal government who says no to everything, and then the federal government sets up another agency for somebody to help you get those people to say yes.
So great.
Talk
So-
about red tape.
Your
Yes.
tax dollars at work?
It's, but he's, basically this letter, like I said, I think it's just kind of an annual update. And he shows, and I'll scan this and send this so that y'all have the information. It's got his contact information here too. But it shows that he's comparing, payments received from different states, Georgia, Virginia, New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Illinois. The veteran population in Georgia is 697,000, and those veterans were able to get compensation and pension of 3.6 million. It's one of the lower population counts, but one of the higher success rates with getting compensation and benefits, which, and he said a lot of that comes out of Gwinnett County too, that they work really hard for veterans. So I'll go ahead and scan and send this all to you, because if you know of any veterans that are having difficulty getting benefits, this is a good contact for them. So just good information for
If
you.
you know of a veteran, he's having difficulty.
This is true. City Attorney's report?
I think we're still moving forward on billboards. Anything new to report?
I sent our document that I presented you all a couple weeks ago for your input. No one said anything contrary back to me, so I provided that to Clear Channel's lawyer to get their input on it. So it's moving along as quick as it can.
We do need to have an executive session. We have about 5 matters that we want to talk about.
And I have one other, last meeting I had mentioned to y'all, the shareable dockless scooters.
Yeah.
I don't know if you all saw that down in New Zealand, they've quit letting them use them at all because the software was going haywire and putting the brakes on them while people were riding.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, like 3 people got hurt really bad. Like flipped over the handlebars and everything, so. They're having some problems, but this is the draft of the moratorium. Just nothing to do tonight, just look over it, but probably will, if you all want to have it on the agenda, next week, or next meeting, it'll be ready to go.
Draft.
Just like usual, if you see something you don't like, or a typo, God forbid, but, let me know. I'll make the change.
Okay, so review that, go ahead and email everybody if you have any questions or concerns, and then we'll plan on putting it on the next regular meeting agenda.
And again, this doesn't affect private, personal scooters, anything like that. This is just the electronic ones, you have to have an app to use. And
Oh, did everybody get one? I have two. Okay.
Oh, that's,
Just in case you lose one. Emergency.
So that would be on the March 11th regular meeting. So if anybody's got any heartburn, let us know. Okay, so now we're on item B of the discussion items, and that's a draft resolution opposing House Bill 302, preemption of local building design standards. So the draft resolution was included with your packet. And so this bill is moving through the House, and its bill was dropped in the Senate
172.
as well. So this resolution is, it is the resolution that GMA is recommending. So anybody thoughts?
Do we
Because
need to add 172?
Add the Senate bill on there.
Tony?
Oh.
Well, it's probably a policy thing for us.
Well, that's what I'm
It's
thinking,
not-
is do we need it or not?
I would add it to the resolution. Yeah, I'd say both, so that you made sure you communicated clearly.
Would you say 172?
Yeah, SB 172.
So what's everybody's preference on, do you think the city should pass the resolution or no?
Yeah, and I
I do.
sent you an additional whereas.
An additional whereas.
Yeah.
I saw that, yeah. And it made sense.
So Gretchen,
Yeah, I'm a yes.
Christie,
Yes.
Roger?
I still gotta review the law and the 172, the new one.
It's the same.
Um,
It's
Same.
identical to
One in the
302.
house,
From
one
what
in the
I've
Senate.
heard, is this not true that most of the sponsors of this bill are contractors or?
The
Who'd have thought?
the lobbying aspect of it is
Well,
clear.
the Council for Low Quality Growth is,
Low quality.
is.
They're
in favor.
supporting it as well, but they write a lot of checks to the home builders.
Yeah.
Mayor,
Yes.
I have a question to ask. I would like, as chairman of the planning commission, to bring this up to the planning commission tomorrow, and/or I could speak about it tonight, public speaking. It's my experience in planning and real estate. I'm very much against it. If you want me to do that, I certainly will. If not, I'll hush my mouth.
Okay.
I mean, I think
You're certainly
we're 4 out of 5
entitled to-
no until Roger.
I'll open the floor to public comment when,
You're entitled. to
when we
speak
put it on there, and
Yeah.
I'll come
you're
down.
free to come up and say what you want.
Keep it
I
short.
appreciate hearing what you.
Short? Oh, okay.
So when we get to the amending the agenda,
Amending the agenda
it'll be under new business,
new business item.
item D, and it's resolution 2019-10. And then, I can give a short description about it. If any other council members, I'll open the floor to council members first, and then I'll open the floor to public comment. Okay?
Are you putting it on the agenda to pass it?
Yes.
Liaison?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
And the reason why you would do that is the session's so short. I mean, they're going to act on it pretty quickly. If you want
I
to
mean,
be opposed to it, you
It's-
gotta get it, you gotta get opposed quickly. It won't, it'll be dealt with before your next
Crossover
meeting.
day.
yeah.
Time is of the essence.
On this one, I mean, it's really a scary proposal. It would gut our, anywhere we had single-family or multifamily duplexes, they could come in and put up vinyl-sided, flat-roofed structures if they wanted to, and we'd have nothing to say
And
about
it
it.
doesn't
Purple
only apply to
vinyl.
new construction. I can move in next door to you, put up a purple house with pink polka dots with tar paper, almost. I mean, there's some language in there that says you have to meet certain minimum standards, but it doesn't have any provision for enforcing those. And I don't think the state is gonna,
State's not gonna,
state's not gonna
Take
send
that
inspectors
on.
out to 159 counties and 538 cities to do it. So pretty much allows you to do whatever you want.
leaves you hanging.
In the city, I mean,
The city can't do
the
anything.
city can't do anything about
I'm
it.
just baffled as to what, I mean, I guess you know why it's happening, it's because of who's sponsoring it, but, I mean,
And if you remember the Chinese sheetrock that was probably 10 years ago, that was so full of sulfuric acid, people literally built houses and couldn't move into them.
Well, there are some cities that do overreach.
Oh, no
I mean, they
question.
try to overregulate, the Miltons of the world.
Yeah, no
But
question.
this is just a way over the top response to that. I just don't think it's, if they had been a little more measured, where we could discuss it, I think it would
Right.
make sense, but this is.
Well, if they just had specifications, I can see where you say you cannot tell somebody you can't use materials that meet minimum standard requirements.
Yeah,
That's a whole different ballpark than saying you can't say anything.
yeah.
Do HOAs still have,
Yeah, HOA is very
HOAs
exempt.
and historic districts still have power.
still have power?
So, and that
That's
was
what
one
I
of
thought
the-
I read.
That was one of the provisions in here, is that, so they're showing that there is a reason to have standards. If an HOA can have a standard, or a historic district can have a standard, then why can't a community have a standard?
And this is all after the fact. So if you move into an area because you like the fact that the houses are all brick, the houses are all stucco, whatever it happens to be, that's one of the reasons you move in there.
Right.
And now you come by after the fact and say, oh, never mind, and take it down, and people next door can do whatever they want.
It particularly hurts, communities that were developed prior to the 1990s because your covenants that have been carved off as a matter of law. So all of your homes don't have those constraints on them as a matter of law. Well, now you're saying you can do what you want to, but you don't have that protection in place. Like newer communities, they've all got declarations, and the legislature has now extended them indefinitely. So, but it doesn't apply to older communities.
And those are the people that are having the hardest time holding on, you know? They're just trying to get the value of their home back.
Yeah, with our septic.
Well, and the other thing, they recognize that historic districts can have standards, but what about the historic districts being created today that will be historic in 50 or
Right.
75 years? I don't think vinyl sided flat roof houses are necessarily gonna be historic in 75 years.
We don't have any candidate neighborhoods for a historic district.
They won't be standing, so it's a non-issue.
But, you know what I mean? It's like, we're
First
creating
strong
the
wind
history
that
for the
comes through,
future
they'll
and,
be-
I don't know.
Another hurricane.
Okay, so consensus was to put it on the agenda, so we'll do that when we approve the agenda. We have item C.
2019-10.
2019-10, we're adding in SB 172.
Is that
Yes.
SB
Yeah,
172?
HB 302 and SB 172.
HB
302.
Got it.
Item C, discussion of the use of the town green by groups on March 16th and 21st.
We have two groups that have applied and are qualified. On March 16th, a gentleman named Dan Flagg and his group Atlanta Prayer Partners would like to use the green to start a parade, and I think they've talked to Roy, and they're going to hire off-duty police officers. And it's just the short route, Oak, north, and then back down Clower to the green, right?
North Wisteria and Clower back to the.
Okay. And then they'll just have a short service, and they'll be out of there by 12:30. The other one is the annual Easter sunrise service that First Pres or Westminster Pres and the Methodist Church, they're going in together. So they'll be there early that morning and off. These are non-city sponsored, city participating.
And both groups have met the requirements for rental of the green. And the Prayer Partners has also gotten a parade permit from the police department.
Gretchen has
My
that
only
same question as I
question
do.
is, if we're redoing this
Redoing.
sod.
Is that gonna be enough time for everything to heal, so to speak?
Oh, that kind of throws a kink in the
Well,
things, doesn't it?
if they-
March 16th, one,
You know,
sure.
it would be,
That's really.
it would be the middle of March, start after the 16th, and we aren't gonna have much more than a month anyway, if we had them out there on Easter.
And Easter's low intensity use,
Well,
wouldn't
yeah,
it be?
yeah, it's,
There weren't,
Well, Easter is.
They have
there
a-
weren't a lot of people at that service last year. I mean, but
But they do have a
now we
stage.
bring the stage on
Yeah,
screen
yeah.
for the Easter
Yeah.
sunrise service.
because Kurt was gonna open it, wasn't he?
And that's, and you gotta, what, drive the,
Circle the green to get the stage.
Yeah.
Somebody
Clean it.
said, I think one of y'all were standing with me, when I was talking to someone, and they said that they have some kind of material
They can lay down.
that they lay down
drive
over the
over,
sod
right.
and drive over, and it does not damage the ground.
Yeah,
They do that
that's-
at Piedmont Park when they have one
They
of
do
the
it in
fairs there, they
Swanee.
got,
Swanee.
There's
yeah.
gotta be something like that
It's a
that
heavy-
we can invest in.
It's
Rubber
a
type
heavy
material,
rubber
yeah.
something.
I
At
don't
least for the
remember.
first few months.
Jessica told me about it. I mean, it's something they lay down to protect the,
And somebody else was telling me about it, because I know I was at a,
you could probably call Marty and
Yeah,
Swanee
I'll
and
check
ask
on that. Okay.
See if we can borrow theirs.
that just occurred to me.
We'll let you use our stage if you
Let us use
do
your,
a swap.
I guess we don't have, we have enough space to do these events over here on this side of,
yeah, they could do it on the side of City Hall, they're not
the
big.
side of City Hall.
On the, in the parking lot?
No, right on the side of City Hall,
Oh,
because that's grassed.
As opposed.
yeah, I wonder how many people they're planning on having.
I was
at the
not
prayer
there for
march.
the sunrise service last year.
They could fit over here based on what
Be
they had
quieter,
last year.
certainly be a little quieter.
Of course, that was the first year too, it might be a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll check.
You observed it, I remember from across the street.
Do you remember if they said, they didn't say how many people they were expecting
Yeah,
at that
because you gotta
march?
spill over on
Would
the
it fit on the
drive.
side in the green?
I mean, they were in Lawrenceville a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
and they,
Chief said they're expecting two hundred and
He said
fifty
that
for the prayer
maximum
march.
was 250 is what he
Yeah.
said.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we had that many at that one we had in Lawrenceville. I don't think there was quite 200. I think they relatively small, yeah.
And some people
That's
could
a-
even sit on the other side of the drive.
Driveway?
Yeah, where the
Yeah.
porta potties usually go. when that-
The sprinkler system is so shallow, you know, out in front here, getting the stage, if it was going on the green, or on the grass out in front of City Hall, you know.
Yeah, but you could always park the stage right on the
On the
pavement
pavement.
Right.
Mhm.
and let
Right.
everybody, go
Yeah.
from the pavement on back.
yeah, the stage would be, in the driveway.
Mhm. Either on the driveway or like when you come around, right
Yeah,
before
you
you get to
could
City Hall.
close that
Where we put
driveway
some of the
off
inflatables.
and people could put chairs in the driveway
Yeah,
too.
because you could, if you had to get in, you could go around the backside.
Right.
Come on, off a cloud.
Right.
You just gotta power the stage.
And make sure there's no
Power
rentals that
lights.
week.
Yeah.
They may have the lights on, I don't know.
Well, the sound system.
We gotta make sure there's no city hall rentals.
Is there access to power for the stage if it's in there?
No, it would have to be, it'd have to
Long
be
extension.
extension cord.
Just run an
Yeah, I mean,
extension
just
cord
have to
into
think about
the
it.
building.
Yeah. What's that?
There's outlets on the outside of the building,
Yeah, I know, but not out there on the,
on the
at the
phone.
driveway.
Yeah, for that short time, we can just, you know.
I'll talk to them about alternatives. That's a good point.
Yeah, and see what they need, because if it's minimal lighting, you could do it all at 110.
Okay.
Well, the March 16th, to me, seems to be more of a concern than the April 21st with the lawn. I know it's.
On the green.
On the green,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know that a contractor
There's
would
not gonna
get,
be that
would
much
get
of it.
not motivated.
Moving,
What am I trying to say?
digging.
Mobile, or mobilized, thank you. Mobilized by March 16th. I don't know if that's enough time.
I think it'll be after that next week.
Especially
We'll
for that
shoot for that next week.
If we've gotta
okay.
do a bid.
We don't, that's it.
Okay.
Ongoing
Okay.
projects.
But we did just wanna let everybody know, because there was a little dust up, because this was a prayer issue, but we couldn't do it. But as long as they're meeting all the rental, they're fine out there, so. Okay, update of ongoing
Let's
projects.
see, let's hand these out.
Mayor, while he's doing that, can I just make a public service announcement?
Sure.
On your calendar for March 11th, it says the next work session starts at 6:30. That's where we had planned to start at 5:30, so you could have a 1-hour joint meeting with the DDA
5:30.
and the joint authorities, just so that you know you're going rather than what's on the
calendar for that particular session.
Okay.
And I need to mention, I'm not gonna be here for March 11th.
Okay.
I think I told you all that at least
Yeah,
a
you
couple
did.
of months ago, but so,
So no one else can.
no one
No one
else
else
can
can be absent.
Can be absent.
5:30.
And we need to check the website on the calendar for the work session for tonight. It was still listed at 6:30.
I changed it. I changed it from 5 to 5:30, back to 5. I've changed it 3 times.
I looked, it's really weird,
That's why I
and
had to
then,
ask
Am I
today, I'm
missing a
like, what's
spot
the
on the
deal
calendar?
tonight?
Maybe I'm missing a spot on
and there was
where I did
another,
it.
like, yeah, like on the blood drive, it says all day.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only 1:30 to 6:30 if you actually
Right.
click on it. So it looked like it was, it was right here under the upcoming events. This still showed, well, they're showing 5:30.
It probably takes a while.
Special call.
For that to come out there.
Yeah. That's like a different, that's not just a text-based feature. I mean, it is, it looks like that, but to change that calendar looking thing, it would probably just takes a while to cycle
For
through.
cycling it through.
Okay.
If you refreshed it, maybe it would change it. But
And I'll double check next time I make the changes and
Okay,
make
see
sure
if
I'm
we
not
can get
missing
that
a
figured
spot.
out, yeah.
Make sure I don't miss.
Okay, Butch?
All right, first town center item.
I have more.
I'm glad we had a chance to talk about the GWR updates. We do have ongoing daily property discussions with all parties, and we'll discuss that a little more in executive session. Trade Center, as you saw, steady library progress. TSW is on track there. I appreciate your input. We'll pass that on as far as the educational space is concerned. Everything with the zoning and the adjacent area development, that discussion will be ongoing with the UDO, of which the planning staff has now received the zoning portion of the UDO, which I think is what, the first 8 chapters, Jason? That they're reviewing. They've gotten that from TSW. And we talked a little bit about what Precision Planning is working on as far as the connections there. City marketing, Brian and Councilman Emmanuel have been working on a Snellville Clean and Proud program. We got the word from Gwinnett Clean and Beautiful today that we have been accepted as a member, and now it's time to go to work. Put on your circle March 23rd on your calendars.
Prom.
Saturday morning.
Not in the morning.
We've
I need to
adopted
get ready.
Oak Road,
We can start it on Friday.
and we're gonna be cleaning it up 6 times a year. Most folks just 4 times a year, and we're going above and beyond.
Good, it needs it.
So that would be March 23rd. We'll get the word out to you.
Are we gonna meet like here?
We'll
and
meet here.
start from
If we
here,
have,
or-
we'll be talking to the public, and it would be good to have 2 groups, and we could start. A mile is approximately to the park.
Okay.
So start out here and go all the way to the park.
And
We
then
may
meet in
go
the
all the way
middle?
to ER Snell.
Oh, okay.
And
And
we
deliver
have-
the trash to your Snell.
we have certain responsibilities to meet there, and that will be, we'll get the community a little more involved as we move on.
Y'all are
We'll
killing
set the
me.
example.
That's like my height of my,
Saturday morning? Oh, come
I
on.
can't, yeah, I'm not gonna, I just, it's too much.
Invite
By
a
that
client,
time
invite your
it's-
client.
by that time, it's like 20 hours a day.
I'll pick
Yeah.
up your share, Barbara.
I can do it Sunday.
Well, there'll be 5 other times in the next year that we'll count on you.
They'll leave enough trash for us.
The UDO, as I said, we've received the zoning portion of it being reviewed. The subs are still working like pond on the stormwater, so hopefully we'll be able to put it all together and get moving. It might be a May adoption. Roundabout construction, Once February advertising for Fars and Ridgedale, the Polanco family have moved on. And so no more WSB reports there. 78 and 124. Pittman is going to be putting out, Robert Moon was saying this morning, he's going to be putting out an electronic sign about traffic flow, businesses, and we also have a city sign that will go up tomorrow, notifying the public that those businesses on the up on the hill and the northwest corner are open for business. Brian worked on getting that, and so it'll go up in the morning. SDS negotiations, not really an update. I've heard nothing from the county on that.
Yeah, the county had made it clear that they wouldn't do anything till after the transit vote. So we'll probably start kicking up a few more. There's been some staff conversation back and forth between our staff committee with Gwinnett Municipal and some of the county staff, but that's about all that's happening.
The 2017 SPLOST program, we can talk about that in executive session also. That tie-in to a property owner. Budget and planning, I'll send you a budget calendar. We're all working on that internally and looking at everything for FY20. Comp plan, I consider that complete and done, so that we'll take that off there. Ordinance development, I know that Chuck and Tony have been working on a lot of different things, and we'll discuss that over time.
Chickens.
That's about all I've got.
Chickens.
That's the update. Did somebody else have something after the update?
I just had a question, and this is just from the long-range planning meeting, and it's the puppy mill question. And we were trying to follow up on that, and I know we discussed how difficult it is to regulate internally in that business. And I thought, this is me, I thought we had decided we were going to design a criminal sanction for just doing harm to animals in a general way that could be applied to that if we found
Oh,
that.
yes.
Is that okay? This is short. This is really a small criminal section change, that if you found a puppy in that condition, you could look to them and
Or a
cite.
kitty.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, we decided not to pursue doing an ordinance.
Commercial
to-
regulation.
Commercial, yeah, to
Very
prevent
good.
them.
Very good.
We figured the market would dictate.
Good, very good. But we may have that ready for your work session next time.
Okay.
That's good, because, I mean, some of the things you see, the cruelty to animals is just, I saw this article on Facebook just this week of this dog that somebody had put duct tape around its mouth, around its legs. You know, it just makes me, I just don't wanna see things like that happening.
Okay. All right, with nothing more on the regular open work session, we will call our executive session. During the work session of the mayor and city council of Snellville, Georgia, Mayor Bender announced that certain matters should be discussed in a closed session of the meeting and asked council to advise the city with respect to closing the meeting.